Good morning. It is Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. I'd like to call this workshop by the Lake County School Board to order. Please stand for a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. We've got a pretty light agenda this morning with only one topic, 3.01 RFQ for Design Professional Services at Eustis High School. Mr. Zachary, you're up.
Good morning, members of the board. So this is the final phase for the RFQ to select an architect for the Eustis High School project. On October 3rd, 2024, we released an RFQ seeking proposals from qualified vendors to provide design professional services. The project estimated cost is about $40,480,000. Allocated as follows: for design services, about $2 million, construction, $35,480, and FF&E, $3 million. And we anticipate that this project will be completed in July of 2027. The project goal: relocate approximately 350 ninth graders from the Curtright Center to the existing Eustis High School campus. And the project will ultimately kind of plan to accommodate about 600 students or individuals. So these are the major design elements. I've sent you that kind of report, but includes senior high classrooms, senior high science labs, part-time ESC rooms, and full-time ESC rooms. So we're asking for multiple items for this project. Additional scope was to ensure that appropriate drainage and stormwater management systems are there, conversion of existing softball field into replacement practice field. So we've asked a number of things from the both the architects and the construction managers to do for this project. These are the challenges. Construction site area is small and space is limited. An occupied campus during the project, although the ninth graders will remain in the Curtright Center until the project is completed. It's a historic campus with the original building dating to the 1930s and modernization additions as recent as 2003. We have portable classrooms that are required for the students but will need to be removed after. The school is surrounded by historic and built-out neighborhood. So these are the challenges that will be faced by the architects and the CMs. We've received 4 proposals from Ziskovich, Corrigan Associates, Little, Diversified, and CPH Corp. Evaluation committee met on December 3rd and ranked them all, and we qualified them to do the presentations today. We also invited all of them to go to the school site on December 6th, and all of them attended. However, on the 13th of December, CPH Corp withdrew from further consideration for this project, and I inquired about why. I never heard anything back from them. They just withdrew. This is a presentation evaluation criteria that we provided for the vendors, and you have in front of you. You have the evaluation sheets, and that's what you're going to use to put your remarks for each presentation. Knowledge of the site and local conditions, local area demographics, overall approach and methodology to the project, and cost control and value engineering. Each vendor will have 20 minutes to present, followed by 10 to 15-minute Q&A by you. I'll keep the time, and I already informed them how I'm going to keep the time. The workshop guidelines. So the goal is to rank each vendor based on the criteria that is provided in front of you. The board cannot consider price proposals at the stage of the selection process. And what I mean by price proposals, I mean the cost of service and all that. We can't consider that. You may make notes during the presentations so you can refer back to them and then finalize your thoughts in the evaluation sheets. But understand that everything is discoverable, is under the subject to the public records request. Reserve any discussion about your rankings or anything that may indicate your preference to the evaluation form that is for you. Input your comments and ranking for each vendor in the evaluation form. And once you complete it, I'll tally up the ranking. And the way it works, the lowest ranked score, cumulative, is the one that we're going to be selecting to move forward with the project. And then we'll announce it officially on the following board meeting. So, any questions?
I think we're good.
Okay. Just a thought, so you know, we put it in the RFQ that they'll have 45 days to come to terms so that we can move forward. If for some odd reason we couldn't, then we'll just move to the next vendor. Okay. All right, we'll start calling them, and then if you have, yeah, start. It's going to be Ziskovich, the first one.
So just to be clear, if you rank someone number one, they're the winner, so the lowest.
Sure.
Share.
Yes, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah. We're getting shorter and shorter on these ballot forms.
We're learning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. It's in the door.
It works. It works. Mike does too.
Mike.
Morning.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Well, good morning. So we have these two microphones that are working, the podium and then this one, right? I'll give you a quick minute to introduce the team who's going to be presenting, and then I'll start the clock. As indicated, 20 minutes. I'll let you know a 10-minute mark, 5-minute, and then the 2-minute mark, okay?
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm C.T. Shu, project principal of the project. Thank you for this opportunity to share with you our experience and knowledge of Eustis High School and our vision for the future. Renee?
Ollie, we'll just go ahead. We have it built in
Okay.
into the presentation, so whenever you're ready.
All right. Okay, you may start now.
All right. Well, thank you for having us here this morning. And, you know, the alma mater shows us here that someday we're leaving and will always be true. And in our hearts, we cherish all the joys we knew. Well, that really resonates with us because we were here on this campus about 20 years ago. And we did the work that you see there now, and we really have a connection with the school as it is now. and hope to be able to come back again. Go ahead. So Eustis High School dates back to the 1800s. In general, at the current campus since '41. We came on board in 2002, and our team master planned and the campus and restored the historic Art Deco building that you see that had seen better days. They had attached something to that. We've cleared that out and redid master plan the entire campus for you. Go ahead. The same, basically, this is what Bill Miller at the time, the principal, the entire planning process has been a positive experience. This firm has made the commitment to reduce the concerns and strive to meet the specific needs of the project. So that same Orlando-based team is here today with you. We have a great team of consultants to work with you. Basically, from that time, CT, myself, Harry, we have Mark, we have Jose. This is still the same team. So it's been a while, and we do want to come back. We have Matern Engineering also that was part of that team on our team, and we're supported by a series of other consultants on this endeavor. We have a great deal of experience that we bring to you when we merged with Ziskovich, CT Schoon and Ziskovich now. It's more than 44 years of firm experience that we're bringing to you, and with proven methodologies and unparalleled knowledge of the Eustis High School campus. And we're definitely honored that you've entrusted us with work at this district. And we're proud of the schools that we've done with you. As a matter of fact, we did a space study for this very building a number of years ago, and the standards that you have now that are part of the design guidelines and standards were generated by us. Now, Mount Dora and Eustis High School play a pivotal role in our journey, helping us to earn in 2006 the AIA Firm of the Year Award. So we have a deep connection with these schools and really a big interest in participating again. And we bring extensive experience in adding buildings to occupied campuses, including CTE buildings like we did at Seminole State College, where we brought in a new automotive facility there. And through the excellent leadership of your design team, the vision for the project to serve our students, the community, and local businesses was fully realized. That's from Addie Price, the director there. So the metrics tell us a part of the story about Eustis. We understand that it's a diverse student body, 92%, although there's a difference in income levels. 92% of the students qualify for reduced or full lunch there. The zone is large for the school, and we can expect some growth. There's developments that are already coming up, so we need to look into the future on that. Now, the other part of that story, of course, is the community, the school within that community. This is the namesake of Eustis, and there's a lot of history, a lot of involvement. It's a center of activity, and basically music, sports, things happen here, and it's very important. It's a Go Panther situation. We work closely with Principal Velez at Mount Dora and Principal Miller here, and we're excited to collaborate with Principal Clark to design a project that inspires the best of everyone. Go ahead. And this is just a quote. It was clear that CT Schoon Associates was a firm that understood the fine line between the customer's desire and working with the project budget to meet those desires. So a note there from Principal Velez. So, of course, we are well-versed in Eustis, in the school. We were there, and, we're more seasoned now. We've learned a couple of tricks along the way. Some lost our hair, but we're still here. But we also have a deep bench of young folks that are coming in to deliver a great 21st century facility for this school. In terms of the site, go ahead. In terms of the site itself, we do find that there's a 3-story, 35-foot limit on height. restrictions through the land use plan. Utilities are in place. There's a city well at the site south of the campus that needs to remain. We have to be careful with that. And there will be additional stormwater necessities here. Through the walk with Principal Clark and Kelly, we learned, of course, that the drop-offs are overcrowded. There's not enough space. Parking needs are also being pressured. But inside the campus, all the walkways and the connections are there for the new building. The location of the new building is shown there between Building 5 and the existing CP. We've delineated some areas that will be working with the CM to understand better of where they need the construction lay down and so on. But we understand the need for the practice field and so on. So we have identified a couple issues that we're going to look at, also the drop-offs and how we can deal with that. In terms of MEP, the site is well served. We're have accessible connections for data, power, and chilled water where we need them.
Right. So as you can see here from this summary, we have a clear understanding of the project. We understand we understand the budget, we understand the schedule, and we understand this addition that's going to help replace the ninth grade center with some special spaces like the CTE labs. We know we need a weight room for the gym. We know we need additional covered dining for the added capacity. And we know we're going to be working on site improvements like the bus loop, the drop-off, parking, and fields. So really the rubber hits the road at the beginning with a project program verification phase. We'll be establishing goals and objectives and priorities with everyone, with all parties. We'll be working with stakeholders, facilities. We'll be working with Principal Clark and the school staff, doing interviews and doing assessments and providing a package for you to review. Then we move into design phase, and this is where we use all the tools in our tool belt here. We'll be practicing effective communication with all our action items, following closely your design guidelines that you've recently developed. We'll also be using the best technology for QA/QC reviews with some things like Bluebeam live sessions for internal coordination. Of course, we'll be working directly with your CM and cost estimator, our cost estimator and the owner to keep the budget under control and the schedule. This is a little note we got from David Laver, Senior Project Manager over at Volusia County for Deltona Middle, project I worked on, where he mentioned we were exceptionally helpful through every phase of the project and continue to work closely with the district and construction team to create innovative solutions. We know the list that's been shortlisted for the CMs. We've worked with all these folks, and we're a collaborative effort. That's one of our strengths. So we bring that to the team. We're happy to work with any one of these parties on this project. This is the schedule as I see it here, based on your March 2025 NTP. It's about a 27-month schedule. We do feel comfortable with this schedule. We feel we can work with it and execute the project. I will say that if there's any need for us to accelerate certain areas or be flexible, we can do that, but I do feel comfortable about that. As I mentioned, beginning of the project, it's of course, the defining moment. Now, this is just another little compliment we got from Lake County with Mike Core for the Eustis Heights Elementary School. He felt that our team and representatives truly acted as a partner, not only with the owner, but with each member of the construction team. So again, our strength is collaboration. This is our workload here currently, and by March of 2025, we will be, most of our projects will be into construction. So we will have reserve capacity. We will be available to work, and we need the work. So we're ready for that. This is just to show you, we've done an initial mapping of the campus. When we do understand the space use, and what we've done here, as you can see, is this is the addition building program based on the 600 student capacity. And this is laid out here. You can take a look at the program that we've taken a pass at. It's actually in your binders. But I will say that the final version of that will come during the PV phase, and we will develop that with your stakeholders, facility team, and the school. As I mentioned, it's a really important component, the CTE labs for the addition. and for the aviation program and construction academy. I will let you know we are uniquely qualified for this project. We've worked on projects like this before. This is Seminole High School's career vocational education building that I worked on personally. We had not one, not two, but three programs in there. It was aviation, construction, and automotive. We worked with Paul Tweed over there in Seminole County. He gave us high marks for that project as well, to be able to put this together with all these labs and spaces. This is just one more example down in Dade County. We worked on the Baker Aviation School for their labs as well. Renee?
Yeah, so what we've done is using that facilities that we just generated to understand how big this building would be and so on. What we've done is we've come up with 3 schemes that we'd like to share with you today. These are just initial schemes that we've developed. We'll develop more as we go to the project. This is a 2-story attempt here. What it does do, it brings the needed outdoor dining now as part of this one here. It's an idea of having a satellite serving area and satellite dining that would allow this building to sort of operate, if necessary, and for security purposes, if desired by the district, to have the 9th grade still kind of be housed here. It doesn't have to be. It could be, all over the place, but it allows to separate this so not everybody has to transit all the way across to where you have the covered dining now. It also includes the idea of opening the space in front of Building 5 that's a little tight right now with the concession stand and the announcer's box by generating a new one here that would have dual snack bars, for instance, one for the sports activities and one for the normal, money is raised through those, so we want to separate that. But it's two-story building, and if we take a couple of pictures here of what that might look like with that canopy, go ahead, keep going through those. And in terms of the floor plan, what we have is a central entry, the CT spaces towards the right in that one in particular, and the classrooms behind there. Upstairs, of course, more classrooms. We do include collaborative spaces, and that pretty much takes care of that. Go ahead to the next one. So Scheme B is a 3-story and 2-story. 2-story faces the community, 3 stories on the inside with a larger plaza. We haven't incorporated. This one called for an addition of a new covered dining near where it is, so that stays there. So this is a 3-story compact scheme. Go ahead to the floor plan. Again, the CT spaces facing this side here where they have access through a drive. Admin on the left there, then you go upstairs and you have the balance of the spaces. This particular scheme also includes the weight room within it. In the other schemes, we've placed the weight room closer to the gym, so there's an opportunity to do it one way or the other. Go ahead. Upstairs, classrooms with collaborative spaces, and on the 3rd floor, science and classrooms as well. This is sort of a view of that plaza up front here and how that would look. Go ahead. And a couple other shots of that environment. And last but not least, we tried a 2-building scheme. What happens here is we have the capability of separating the CTE that might be noisier. It could be done in a different building system. It could be a Butler building system, and then a 3-story classroom building, separated by what could be that dining situation here, and we would see how we would be able to incorporate a snack bar. In terms of the floor plan, again, you can see the CT towards the drive with outdoor space there, and then the classroom spaces on the left. As you go upstairs, you have classroom space and a collaborative, and then again, 3rd floor, similar. So it gives us certain flexibilities. It also allows the possibility of a secondary entry from the drop-off that could be accessed directly if that would be desired. And a couple more views of that. Certainly, we'll be incorporating, yes, we'll be incorporating for the 21st century aspects of this, not only in the classrooms, but also the spaces between those classrooms. In terms of the site opportunities, in terms of drop-offs, pickup space, the parking, and the practice fields, we have 5 options that we've come up with. of how to utilize different places on campus by adding parking and so on, using the bus loop that we have and the bus drop-off, sometimes for buses, sometimes for actual parent drops. So there's a variety of, go ahead, the next, variety of ways of accomplishing that, and we'll continue looking at ways of doing that. Go on. And we've actually looked even at exploring whether a deck would work here. We've done that at other schools, like at Hillcrest Elementary. This is a graphic that has the concepts and our site options in one space. What we did find is that they play well together. The pairing of the different approaches are possible, so we have different avenues of achieving what we need to do, still within the budget. The number for 5 is really the parking deck, so we'll talk about that later. Go ahead. Go ahead. And of course, we do net zero and net high performance schools, school buildings, and we'll see what level we need to reach here for this school. Go ahead. Go ahead. Chris?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Chris Kramer, and I'm here today for one reason, and that is to protect your budget. A lot of school districts are struggling throughout Central Florida with managing the opportunity to maintain their budgets, so that's exactly why I'm here. I'm more than just a cost estimator. I focus on cost control and true cost control. Some of the things that I like to bring to the table are the value engineering. I've already been working with multiple CMs on looking at cut-fill analysis, the utilization of utilities that are currently in place, 2-story versus 3-story additions, and separate potential for separating the Construction Academy building rather than including it into the main addition.
We are very, very proud of our cost control as well as the schedule control track records. In summary, this is a cohesive team. We have worked well together during the past 30 years. We have unparalleled knowledge and experience on this campus and the Eustis community. We have a recent experience with very similar type of a high school occupied campus addition with CTE laboratories. We are expert on 21st century learning high school design. We just complete the next generation of a new high schools for OCPS, which is called the Innovation High School. It will be the prototype for the future high schools. We have proven project approach and the methodology in place with excellent cost and control track records. Last but not the least, we are really inspired by this opportunity to continue our working relationship and with Panther legacy. Go Panther! Thank you very much. Thank you. That will open it up to about 10, 15 minutes remaining on the board.
Dr. Luke, you want to kick us off?
I do. What is a parking deck? That's my first question. I have a couple.
What is it?
A parking deck?
Oh, okay. That would be a structure, a parking structure. So a 1-story above existing grade. So it's one approach. It's not the least expensive approach. We can do that on the existing parking and not have to affect other areas that are not parking, because we're trying to see different ways of doing it. So it's a structured parking deck for parking. And what we've done in other schools, we actually incorporated it into a parent loop, so that we use that space as well to get the parents through the school. But it's one of the options. It is not an inexpensive option.
And then you talked about, I think it was option 1. I tried to write quickly. I know you guys were running low on time. The weight room was closer to the gym. I think in option 1, is that an additional structure you would build?
Yes, it would be. It would be a standalone next to where you have the music right now, close to the gym. It fits quite nicely in that position. It's one approach instead of involving it. Once we bring it into the building, there's sound attenuation issues that we need to address. But that would be something we would discuss with the school to see where it would be best positioned. But yeah, that in scheme 1 and scheme 3, we would have had the separate one. Scheme 2 has it involved.
Okay, my last question, a lot of these were the softball field is the current football field that's on there that they're wanting to do as a practice field. You've obviously seen behind there.
Sure.
And I see that you're incorporating that practice field like behind there, so what would be the plan? Because I know it quite drastically drops.
It does, it does. So originally, when we first master planned, we actually had a practice field adjacent to the football field at the same level.
Yeah, I saw that one.
Right,
too.
it would have been a lot of, and that was actually permitted at that time, but we didn't go that direction. We would push some of the cut and the fill to create the rest of that and trim some of that, what right now, as you can tell, is really, which is really forested in a way, right?
Yeah.
So the idea is where we have this change in grade, we would modify it so that we get at least the 100 yards from this point to that point, and have a fully functional. It does not have to be all of that, right? They can do half field training. So it's just, in that case, if it's used for that, we have that opportunity to not go all the way down. The other one was right across here.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's one approach.
I just think, I find it interesting, and I know you guys have the technology and the tools to do it, but we experienced so much runoff. Like, there were times in that softball field out behind there that the ruts would get
No doubt.
significantly deep, and the fence was right
It-
there. And I often wondered, like, at what point is this going to just wash down?
It shouldn't, and we try to keep it vegetated so it doesn't.
Okay.
But we have ways to control that. There would be some knee walls that would have to be constructed to kind of stop that and do it correctly. We have the technology. We can rebuild it.
And then I know on all the designs, I saw additional parking along Bondstock up here, and then the Washington was really with the existing parking lot that you have.
Right. So up across here, we have an opportunity to change this configuration and do diagonal parking when it becomes the parent drop. Because there's a way of leaving this as a bus drop and extending it, or making it a parent drop and extending it. It has permutations. Here at the parking lot, some of what we would do is actually cover some of the retention that's there, do exfiltration, gather more parking in that. Or what we were thinking is, if this is a new building, and right now all the parking is happening here, one approach might be to bring the parking and create something here where you have about 40 spaces.
And then you'd put the practice field down.
Well, yeah, you'd modify that in a different way, correct. So part of our task is going to be analyzing all of those. What we brought you today is really for the discussion with you. There's a lot more.
I mean, I can talk to all of those things. So, love to, actually. On the drainage side of the fields, what we would also do there too is install some inlets at the top of the hill to gather the water before it hits the slope.
Okay.
So that's very important when it comes to drainage, just to help with the rutting issue earlier. The one thing I'll mention about the parking deck, just that's clear the way we were envisioning that, is that highest
I'm sure
level.
my picture doesn't match yours, so that's good.
Well, this is kind of important. The highest level of the parking, which is towards the eastern end, that's pretty much going to stay at that grade, maybe a foot or two higher at the most, right? And then the lower deck would be basically at the lower elevation, because there's a lot of elevation occurring going towards the north. So what ends up happening is it really doesn't jump out at you as a visible deck. And we actually have done this before at another school, and it really blends in really nicely into the side of the hill. So just
And then-
another opportunity.
I don't think anybody's got, like, this isn't part of the scope of the work, although I believe it is. Like, clearly you can see, like, and you listed in your plan that, or this plan, there's residential buildup all around the school.
Correct.
So in regards to all of the development and expanding the parking, I just wonder how those neighbors are going to, I mean, what is your plan to get everybody involved so they know what time frame to expect, and if there's going to be any loss to that frontage, the road frontage for them?
Well, we wouldn't be taking any frontage. The frontage would change in a way. It's,
I just
it'd be
mean like
different.
during construction.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
don't mean to say you're taking
Okay,
it, but I'm
okay.
sure you're going to be building on it.
No,
for
certainly,
a hot
certainly.
minute.
We have always had very collaborative sessions with the community, and we intend to do that. That's part of our methodology, is to bring that in at the pleasure of the district, of course, and how many and whom to invite, the stakeholders that need to be brought in, and certainly the folks here. When you bring ninth grade center here and you're adding 600 stations, things will change. It'll be a little bit different. The activity level rises, vehicular traffic rises, and pedestrian as well. So we would address those in workshop sessions with them and really bring them up to speed all along the way so that we have buy-in and consensus. as much as we can. The neighbors are the neighbors, and we work with them. So.
I'll hold for a minute, just if anybody else has any. I know we're on a time limit.
Good questions. Ms. Cunningham?
I just have one. Inside the building, whether it's a 2-story or a 3-story building, the stairwell, is there going to be adequate a way, let's say on the side, that an administrator would be able to get up the stairwell if students are moving? My concern is safety with so many stairs.
Sure. So all the stairs that we've shown can be accessed
Okay.
to go inside the building. The ones that we're proposing, and we've done this in the past, is that they're quite large. They're wide. They're double wide.
Okay,
It's a
good.
double wide stair.
Good.
We've done this at a series of high schools that we've worked on, and they're open, so they're not closed.
Okay.
The doors are open. You can visualize into them. Not necessarily the ones in the corners, but the main stair, it has hold open doors. So it's part of the environment. It's part of the lobby, part of the second floor, part of the third floor. So you can see what's occurring all the way through.
So if I'm on the bottom floor, I can see what's going on the 3rd floor.
You can see, because of how they're structured, you can see between I guess, the runs of stairs.
Okay.
They can be configured that way,
Okay.
yes.
Is this similar to Aurelia Cole?
No, not necessarily Aurelia Cole. We've done it in different schools, different, you can see how large the stair is, right? So it's a double stair that can handle the capacity. That is the main way to get up and down. We don't want the students in the wings.
Right.
We want them, everybody's being seen.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Dodd?
So thinking about the challenges of working on an occupied campus, I'm just kind of imagining, you've got the juxtaposition of a 21st century learning combined with a school that's got some rich history. Which design elements do you think would be most important to create a cohesive feel?
So certainly we have, what we've done here and the original building, in terms of cohesiveness, this is an Art Deco sort of front end, and we've tried to bring the language through. That's one thing. The other thing is that we do go back 1 second. So you'll see we call it, go to the lobby, one that shows the lobby. Go forward. Go forward. So it's a lobby and gallery, okay? We want to bring elements of the historical nature of this, not only this, but also the Cartwright campus. It has it has a lot of things that have happened there. The segregation, everything that's happened there. They have a lot of artifacts still from back in the day. The building in the front right now has already a tribute space, and we want to bring that here as well. Certainly by incorporating a lot of the language here, having some super graphics that we can incorporate, into those communal spaces to really bring it in together. And when I mentioned that maybe the 9th grade still remains, a little more secure, it doesn't have to be, right? It's part of the integrated thing. I don't know if that's a direction or not a direction. It could go either way. But in terms of the campus entirely and how you get to it, and that, we want to maintain the language and that connection.
All right. And my other question just, I think, is trying to reconcile all these different options. Sometimes when you present so many options, it's tough to get everybody to agree on one, right? So walk me through your process and what stakeholders would be most important to navigate that process, and how do you just arrive at a final conclusion?
So in program verification is where we'll start workshopping with the district and key stakeholders. We will have to identify those with you. We're not going to go out and just select people to come in. Often we have members of the PTA, we have members of staff. We have select members of the community that are stakeholders and folks that contribute, folks that are part of this community would be brought in. And we have sessions where we start explaining what we found, explaining what the goals are, the objectives, and walk them through that process. It's not just one time, we do several times. And that'll also be decided how many are necessary. But we will clarify what we brought you today and the time that we've had to show you is very short. So this model here is one of those tools that we'll be using to show these different things in a slower pace with a little more clarity for them. And also the costing and everything else. We haven't spoken with the program folks. We haven't spoken with what actual needs. We know the square footages, but really what do we need? Is there more simulation? Is there more mechanical? Is there more, what are we doing? So all of that will be built in and brought up to speed until we have consensus on something that the district agrees, something that we've worked out with the principal and everybody else involved.
You hear all the voices.
Voices have to be
And we will
heard.
combine and some of those ideas, and then later on, we find that repeatedly, you put it on the walls, let everybody to come in and put a vote on it. So the choice could be very obvious.
Right. We do a vote selection. Sometimes it's fun. People can say what they like, what they don't like, and we discuss all of those and come out with a vision. So we create a vision first.
Thanks. Thank you, Mr. Dodd. Mr. Mathias?
Just a couple. I want to speak to the budget for just 1 second, because y'all did Eustis Heights, and I know at Eustis Heights, we ended up $5 million short. I was brand new kind of on the board, and we were scrambling for dollars. Do you really feel comfortable with the budget?
Absolutely. If you allow me to go through the process that I've gone through for the last 30 years, I can assure you that when we come back to you in 1 year with the CM, with the GMP, we'll be at that $35 million mark. It's a process. I'm not just a cost estimator. I'm involved through every design decision, monitoring the scope as it develops. I'm constantly raising my hand, making sure that the decisions that we make are true and align with the budget.
And I'd like to just follow up on Eustis Heights Elementary. We then went and actually renovated another piece of the campus, right? So the scope moved a little bit. We had designed initially to do more of new construction that would have been integrated into the entire. There was a couple, 4 more classrooms on each level, but we decided to go further with the renovations of the existing campus. So that pushed us into a little bit of a different zone. But he's been nothing but trouble, and he keeps us in line. So,
And how long have you been with them?
30 years, sir.
You've been with this firm 30 years?
no, he's his
Oh,
own.
He's his
I
own
own
your own.
I own my
Yeah.
own company, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, he's not dug in here. He's literally making trouble on the
Yes.
side for us.
And of the 3 options you presented, obviously you have one that you think makes the most sense. Which one is it?
Yeah, I like 2. I like the first one and the third one because of the separation that we can do here. It gives us flexibility. The first one at 2 stories is best for the community, I think, in a way. It certainly has, the budget is good, but we can fit all of these still. I don't want to settle on any one of these because I think they all have their merits. The first one with the incorporated dining and covered area, I think that could be a substantial improvement so that not everybody's transferring around and it's happening here and you have like this other possibility. And it gives you another space for the school to have activities in that isn't always, centered here.
And the
So,
cafeteria can handle the capacity for production right now.
well, so we took a look at the facilities list, and of course, core spaces, when we bring another 600 students in, there's some issues, right? Media center, not so much, because now media has changed in how media is consumed. Cafeteria, I think they're already using carts to feed outside. So the idea is that could also happen here, that you do provide a satellite situation. I think the kitchen's large enough because the meals have changed, and you know very well what is necessary. There's other things too, right? I think that there should be one more art space. That wasn't part of this because there's only 2. There really should be a third. And also in that sense, if you think about music, right, they only have band, chorus, and ensemble. So we knew this. This is where we were, and we know that still some of those things might or might not be able to be part of this project.
I'll go ahead to you because you're
Perfect.
running out of time.
No, I appreciate it.
I like number 3.
Yeah, no, I think
No, don't get started again.
yeah, please don't, because, let's not, keep coming.
All good. No, I'll keep this brief. My first question for Mr. Clark. How is your current parking situation as it sits today?
So the actual parking.
Like, do you have enough spots?
Allotted spots it works.
Okay.
Our concern is the safety.
Right.
Moving forward, just because of the roads. Fonstock
Sure.
and Washington just back up in the morning and in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So adding the additional parent drop-off, when you talk about 9th graders, that's our biggest concern.
Yep.
Is the safety aspect.
I agree wholeheartedly. Then my other concern, kind of building off what Dr. Luke was saying, is does this give us enough spots at full capacity? I mean, because looking at the numbers as they sit today, and I know these aren't exact, but
Right.
40-day count was at 1277. So if we're looking at 1656 permanent student stations, that's an additional 379 students. Got 125-ish staff now, so if we're going to add more for
Another
that
30, 40,
capacity.
yeah.
Do we have enough spots built into this for as big as we want to build this campus? I'd love to build it this big, so then we don't need to add anything to it
Right,
for the foreseeable future, but
No
if we
doubt.
do build out, is this enough
So
parking
considering
spots?
the number of spaces, instructional spaces that we have,
Yeah.
yes. Those, they're not, students aren't driving these students necessarily.
Agreed.
But like I said, we found that there's developments coming up already. So not only do we have to build this, have enough parking, but we also have to think that the possibility is that we may have to use this later.
Right.
For something else. But right now, what we've looked at and designed conceptually does accomplish the parking for the folks that are coming, including assistants and
Yeah.
folks that are helping in the school.
And
And
it's
the admin that we
Yeah.
want to have a component here as well.
No, I'm all in on the building designs. I think all those are great. My biggest concern is that side, and then it's not an elementary or K-8, but still, with moving all these ninth graders to campus, making sure the queuing line is sufficient. We're having
Right.
some pretty significant issues at ACA, just because of how big that campus has gotten.
Yeah.
So trying to make sure we can accommodate that and the bus parking and everything else as efficiently as possible. I think the designs can be great, but how do we utilize everything around it?
Right.
It's a limited site, as you do.
It certainly is.
As
It
you
is
know
tight,
too well.
but we have solutions that we looked at that will help with that and bring it to where it needs to be.
I appreciate it. My last question, outside of, I assume, Mr. Sue, was anybody else on this team on the project back in 2002?
Yeah, I was the chief
Perfect.
designer.
Okay. Yep.
Harry. We have Mark. He was our CA, and we also had Jose. Jose detailed almost the entire campus.
Perfect.
So no, this is the same team.
Awesome.
Like I said, a little grayer. Yeah, Leah,
Director
her,
of engineering was the electrical engineer of record, and our
Right.
president was the mechanical engineer of record.
Okay.
right.
So, yeah,
Y'all
team is
wonder-
there.
Y'all wonder with everybody.
Yeah, Leah, I saw Leah, I think when I visited her office, she was running around as a young,
I was in high school then.
young intern. Young intern. So-
I would just make, can I make a
Please, yeah,
suggestion? Not a
absolutely.
comment at all, and I'll probably make it to everybody, but I would also encourage, in the design phase, if anybody hasn't been at the campus for a sporting event, you mentioned
Oh, yeah.
how well attended they are, and it doesn't matter what the school does. They've put
Correct.
up stakes that say no parking, you should just see it.
Oh,
Just
it's
to
tight.
feel
I
it.
can
It's-
imagine.
And
It's-
because the parking's so far away, so I kind of like the
And
parking
to
on the
that,
side.
we also heard, of course, that the concession situation and the restroom
Yes,
situation
with the
for
visiting on the
for the visiting side,
football field, yes.
that also really
I was going to say
perhaps
that,
can
but it
be
wasn't on the
addressed.
plans.
Yeah, no, because it wasn't included in sort of
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
write-up for this, but
Yeah.
we're cognizant of that being also an issue.
Perfect.
Okay.
It's a long way to go up here to get a hot dog and then try to get back.
Right, yeah.
Well, we've gone way over time.
I'm sorry.
You're good. No, we did that, not you. Always give me the evil eye. So thank you guys very much.
Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
No, appreciate it.
How's ADA handled, Stephanie, right now? How's ADA handled with the Hawker check?
I was wondering.
Lee, I can't imagine you're leaving. Are you walking back
I didn't
in?
see
I'm walking back in.
Is there an elevator?
It has to be.
Has to be, that's what I thought.
No, I meant right now, how do they get it
Oh, with
down
the,
to the field? There's no
there's
way-
a, they can drive down.
Chris, are you coming
on the
back
visitor side
through?
Yes.
Okay.
down, But from up, no.
It's becoming apparent.
Hey, it's all good.
Thank you.
How many?
Renee, thank you. Great job.
Say you built three stories?
Thank you all.
Building, well, Lisa has one.
Okay.
Then later on, we're going to work with principal, find out where the.
Yeah, where to put it.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we have, in the handout, we have a series of our
Appreciate it.
references.
No more frontlining.
We'll do it later.
You'll see us in a few
Yeah,
minutes.
that's the question.
All right. They're gonna get kicked out. I didn't write anything. I totally forgot.
Well, when you're listening, it's hard
Yeah,
to,
it's really challenging.
remember you gotta write something down.
Right.
And then you can't.
Exactly.
So, the click.
Yep.
So I'll give you like a brief minute or two to introduce the team so we can jump into your presentation. I'll let you know at the 10-minute mark, the 5-minute mark, and then the 2-minute mark. And podium, microphone, these two microphones work, and this works. So please speak into the microphone, okay?
Great, thank you. Thank you all. We're happy to be here today. I am Carissa Oyedele with Corgan, and I will be the project manager and main point of contact for the project.
Thank you.
Good morning. I am Jaquil Sanders. I will be the project architect for the project.
Good morning. Mike Kearns with Avcon Engineers. I'll be the civil engineer on the project.
Good morning. Ryan Cannell. I'm the design director for Corgan.
Good morning again. I'm Chris Kramer, President of School Planning and Design Management, and I will be responsible for cost control.
We also have Leah with Matern available for Q&A as well.
I'm going to start the clock right now.
Great, thank you. We wanted to start the presentation by identifying a goal that we have for this project. We want the ultimate solution to enhance the experience through opportunity and connection. We know Eustis High School has a rich history of over about 150 years, and on this particular main campus, almost 100 years. And this addition and site improvements is a wonderful opportunity to build upon that history and really make the school even stronger than it already is, build the community more. We've already introduced ourselves roughly at the beginning, but beyond those who are here today, we have a full bench of architects, interior designers, and engineers on the team. All have worked very closely with you over the years. A lot of our consultants have. And in addition, Corgan has in-house resources that we'll tap into as needed, such as lighting designers, an acoustical engineer, and roofing specialists. To expand a little bit on our mission and goals of what we initially think would be a wonderful aspect of the project, we've divided it up into kind of 4 main goals. First, as I mentioned, that the solution should be driven by the user experience. We also want this addition and site enhancements to enhance the sense of belonging. We want the 9th graders to come here and feel that they are a part of the campus and that their experience is elevated as they move to the main campus. We want to build consensus and trust with you. Corgan has not worked with you all before, and we want to earn your trust through this process. And ultimately, the final solution, we want to stand the test of time and solve your complex challenges. This project has some topography and some interesting challenges that must be resolved. You've asked us to speak a little bit about the local area demographics. And looking specifically at Eustis High School, we know that there are about 1,400 students, and that includes the 9th graders that will be moving to this campus. A majority of the students are minorities and come from low-income families. What this means is that the school not only needs to provide a very solid education, a wonderful education, but they're also providing some basic needs, such as food and also social and economical mental support. So there's a lot of things that this school is doing for the students and that this addition will be continuing to do in providing support. We'd also like to point out that once the 9th grade addition opens, this class of students will be one of the first classes of Generation Alpha. And what that means is that they are very tech-forward students, and they require kind of different learning, hands-on, real-world learning. So the addition and the spaces provided for that need to account for the way that they learn and think.
And we also understand that there's a lot of community and school pride. When we were here for the site visit, I got to, take a peek into the history room in the existing high school, and we understand that some of the alumni include astronauts, Nobel Prize winners, a number of famous athletes. So this is a lot of pride that the school has, and go to the next one. And we understand that, the principal's motto is exemplifying the best in every student, that this is a place of excellence, and that, like Carissa says, that we're here to take care of not just the students' learning, but also some of the social, emotional needs as well. So we can go to the next. And then we're going to dive into some of our knowledge of the site and the local conditions. So during the site walk, understand that the proposed site is the existing practice field. It's mostly flat, but it quickly drops off in a couple directions. We have we're proposing to put where the new addition will go, and we're going to hand it over to Mike.
Good morning. Quick site considerations here. So, obviously we're looking at the site is split into two different basins. We got the north for the parking, and then we got the south for the actual main campus. So, in researching the existing St. John's permits, back in 2002 when the campus was designed, the actual design drawings have an excess of 1.72 acres of space in the pond. Now, whether that's there or something or not, we'll look at the program verification when we get into that phase. Because in the original design drawings, it also had a field that was designed and permitted where those trees are just south of the football field. So that's something we'll get into when we start doing the program verification, is understanding why that was never constructed and digging into the permits more and see where that excess capacity could be used for this future expansion. Pedestrian access, obviously with the split parking and campus, that's something that Jaquil is going to jump into here in a minute, just kind of explain. We understand there needs to be a Congo line. We need more off-street parking and stacking for the new ninth graders coming in who don't drive. So that's a big concern. And then parking and striping, obviously, Jaquil is going to get into that as well. And then the softball field we understand is not being used. So that could be additional parking for staff, or we know it's kind of disconnected from the campus. So it's not necessarily somewhere we want to put parents. And then the general observations, dumpster enclosure location, obviously, the concrete's deteriorating. There's an ADA space dedicated directly in front of it. So those are the little things we'll look at. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mike. So as Mike has alluded to, we've taken a high-level look at a plan to potentially solve the parking and stacking. So as we come down Washington, we'd enter the existing lot and route the cars up and around so that the passenger side is on the side next to that blue area in the drop-off zone. And we could create a new canopy that stretches across between the two parking lots. And then that creates a pedestrian zone where along Washington, where the students can cross without having to worry about interfering with the cars. And then the cars would exit off to Dietrich or move down Washington onto Farmstock. The bus drop-off would be extended with an extended canopy that we're going to show some concepts of how that can integrate into the building as well. And we can go to the next slide. And then we took a look at just parking circulation. We understand that this is really much more of a campus rather than just a consolidated single high school building. So how the students are moving through and around is really important to understand, and that influences some of the solutions that we've come up with for our design concept. And then we also understand that we need to maintain fire access because that's pretty important when on a campus like this, and how we get around and how we get large vehicles that would need to respond in case of an emergency, especially on such a tight and hilly campus. So I'm going to hand it over to Chris.
Thank you. Let's talk a little more about cost control. You've asked for a little information about my knowledge and experience, and I've been doing this for 30 years now. Over the past 10 years, 96 K-12 projects. They tell me that if you do the same thing over and over and over again for 30 years and you're pretty good at it, some people might consider you an expert. So I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to be here today and be part of this team. Next slide, please. Some of the construction techniques that we'll be looking at really involve the first cost versus life cycle cost analysis, because it's not always the first cost that we have to look at. We want to make sure that maintenance is okay. Materials, supply chain and lead times and escalations, we want to make sure we're monitoring those so you're not paying any extra for your materials. The next slide, please. And then lastly, I've already been working with several of the CMs on this project, looking at some value engineering opportunities. making sure that we're utilizing the existing utilities and infrastructure that are there, looking at two-story versus three-story concepts. One of the other things that we're looking at, and I've used a lot, is a concrete tilt wall system with thin brick embedded right into the concrete. Looks exactly like a typical conventional block and brick, but you can save a substantial amount of money. So those are the types of things that we'll be looking at as well.
To elaborate a little bit more on what Chris was talking about related to cost, we know you have a construction budget of just over $35 million, and our intention is to manage it as if it's our own resource. We know it's important, and we'll be looking at it and managing the cost with Chris from the very beginning. We took a quick assessment of the $35 million and feel that it is adequate for what you're looking to do here, and try to start looking at breaking down how those costs can be allocated to the different aspects of the project. In addition to some of the considerations Chris mentioned, we want to architecturally and from a design perspective look at other key components that can really impact cost, such as the structural material, as Chris mentioned, but also the extent of site work and canopy and pavilion, how big that is and what that looks like, the amount of fenestration on the new addition. We want it to be open and welcoming with lots of glass, but there's a balance between how much there is there. And also working on construction, logistics, and phasing, that can really have a strong impact on the cost. To discuss a little bit more about our overall approach and methodology, I wanted to start looking at the schedule. There's quite a lot of information here, so I'm not going to read it, but you do have it in your printout. The gist is we want to design and develop construction documents in 2025 so that construction can start as early as January 2026. All of this is working towards an end goal of substantial completion in July 2027 so that the addition can be occupied that fall 2027. Of course, we want to refine the schedule with you all, with the school, and with the selected CMAR, as their schedule, their construction schedule, will really impact or really work closely with the design schedule. We can pull some packages forward if they need to procure long lead items or whatnot. But we do want to work with them to make sure that a bulk of the construction is done over both summers, so that there is very little impact during the school year, at least the noisiest and the most site-intrusive work done during the summers. At Corgan, collaboration is our key pillar of our progress and process and the success of a project. We want to listen to you and all the stakeholders involved in the community so that we can deliver a customized solution that meets your goals. We do that in a number of ways. We do that through active listening and stakeholder engagement. We do this through continual communication on various levels, through phone, email, Teams meetings, in-person meetings. We like to always be in contact so we can address any issues that come up early. And as I mentioned, we really want to have early engagement with the CMAR and work collaboratively as a partner with them and with you all so that the project can move forward seamlessly. Our design process is very iterative in that we like to explore multiple solutions so that we can really make sure that the final selected solution meets your needs and goals ultimately. To do that, the planning, programming, verification phase is very important. This provides a solid foundation for the rest of the project. This is where we will validate the program and really hone in on what types of spaces will be in this addition. How extensive is the site work in the pavilion? Who's going to be using these spaces? Is it just for the ninth graders, or how does it really work with the campus as a whole? All of these are going to be important, as well as aligning this program with the schedule and the budget. Another important aspect for us to consider as part of this project is the psychology of the ninth graders. They're going to be coming from their own campus onto this campus, the main campus, and that will eliminate a transition for them, which is excellent. It'll also elevate their status as part of the high school. They'll now be with the big kids. But there's other aspects that we'll want to incorporate as part of this project, one being social belonging. We want them to really feel a part of this campus and a part of this high school, not feel like their addition is off at the edge of campus. We want them to have a perception of control. We want them to be able to make choices, where to eat lunch, where to study. This gives them a sense of confidence and really make them feel that they belong. And also their competence. We want the education, of course, to be cutting edge education, and that also helps build their competence and their self-confidence as well. And all of this, all of these ideas are coming from our in-house researcher, Chloe, who is has a degrees in architecture and neuroscience, and she's an incredible resource to really help us understand the students and what their needs are.
And building on that, we have a number of techniques that we can use for stakeholder and engagement, including in-person and digital, understanding that, Generation Alpha is a digital-first generation, that they're going to interact with the world a little differently and be able to provide feedback a little differently. So going forward, we'll be able to work with the community, the staff, the students, and really try to hone in on what that thing is that we need to design. What are the things that we don't know yet? And we're looking to uncover those and explore those possibilities.
5 minutes.
And then these are some of the tools, including videos, VR, AR, town halls, presentations, and community forums. And then I'm going to hand it over to Chris. Brian.
So Jaquil has talked a little bit about our early engagement process, and he's also talked about some of our site analysis. What I'm going to share is some of our early conceptual thinking on this process. But it's very important to underline that without the early engagement with you all, this is somewhat incomplete. These are what we're bringing to the early conversations, but they're just ideas at this point. So hopefully this will give you an idea of how we work more than giving you design solutions at this stage. Carissa talked about creating a cohesive campus feel. We really work at multiple scales at once. We're looking at the scale of the addition, we're looking at the individual program elements, but we're also thinking about the feel of the campus. This is a 100-year plus campus. We're thinking of how it can grow and evolve and do more than just the individual elements. So we're already starting to think about how the addition can tie in with covered walkways and this outdoor pavilion. And rather than those feel like independent, discrete elements, really give the back of this campus the same cohesive feel that the historic front of the campus has. So this is a site plan view. This is showing just thinking about how that additional outdoor pavilion can link in with some of the pedestrian pathways that Jaquil was talking about. And the addition itself to give the architecture of this back of the campus a more cohesive feel. And then zooming into the addition, we've looked at the list of program spaces. We're thinking just from a worst case scenario of the stacking of this in a two-story envelope to fit within that 35-foot building height. That could grow to 3 stories, but we wanted to challenge our thinking early on and see how efficient we can get this block. So we're looking at the bottom of the screen. That's the west side. That's really the main circulation to this ninth grade center. And then on the top of the screen, the opportunity to extend the pickup and drop off for buses, maximizing daylight for classrooms on the perimeter. Also looking at the ground floor as opportunity if we include the construction and industrial technology and weight room program, that would be a good fit on the ground floor with vehicular access. And then also looking at centralizing the labs for stacking and opportunities for common space and flexible furniture around that zone for breakout spaces and also heads down learning. And then just showing some images. These are the type of images that we could bring to early conceptual discussions, but giving more of a sense of materiality and also what it's like to be on this campus. So this is a view from the exterior, how that bus canopy could extend and how the architecture of this addition could tie in materially with the adjacent structures, but not necessarily mimic them. And then this is really the scale that we always want to come back to, the scale of the student and teachers. They're moving around the campus, the ground level experiential scale, and how this integrates with landscaping and also branding opportunities. The feel of being on a Eustis campus should be unique, and just a reminder to students. This is showing how an alumni or senior wall could be integrated in with the landscaping, and just the opportunities of this is a view from the outdoor pavilion looking back at the addition, just giving a sense of cohesiveness and connectivity. This is really the scale that we like to design at. The user experience is something we always come back to.
And I know we're just coming up on our time. We want to kind of bring you back to our main goal for this project is to enhance the user experience for the students, faculty, and staff through the opportunity and connection. And with that, I want to say thank you. We're really happy to be here, very excited about this project, and we're ready to get started. With that, I'd like to say thank you and open up to questions.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Dr. Luke?
I was trying to go back to, I know you guys brought just an idea or two forward about, did you guys have parking? Like, did you, other than extending the bus drop-off, I saw that. I saw there was a proposed canopy, and then you're using the existing parking lot that's off of Washington. Is there any other thoughts about parking?
Well, we believe that the current parking is probably underparked, so that we could do some restriping to rework and get more spaces out of it. But I'm going to turn it over to Mike for additional commentary.
Sure. So we did look at the parking, and as far as the students go, we're bringing ninth graders in. So this first thing we do is we'd analyze what this current student, because we're obviously separated. We've got the faculty side and we've got the student side. So we'll kind of look at the parking counts. I know, at a lot of Volusia County schools, the student drivers are diminishing. Most kids are not driving at the age of 16 anymore. So a lot of the parking lots are underparked on the student side. So there may be a shift in the separation between facilities or faculty and students to offset some more for faculty, bringing in more teachers, as well as the drop-off zone that we had talked about. The pedestrian safety is clearly the number one, and faculty, for that matter, crossing this road. So our idea was to kind of get the conga line of parent parking to come in, and then obviously it's going to have to have some refinement, but then exit out so to the north there or east, to prevent that crossover of students and vehicular conflict. So this is just some of our initial ideas. And then again, like I said, the ball field down in the south, softball, that's underutilized now, is what we're told, is an opportunity for additional parking. If it'd be more for faculty because it is very disconnected, and that's kind of why we've steered away from that being our main goal.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
I've just got a couple. The stairwells, are they open and wide enough so that there's access for administrators that need to get up there? And if you're standing at the bottom, can you see the movement of students all the way to the top?
Yes, visual connectivity, and also just having, we know, especially at the ninth grade level, we want to have enough width that there are no kids aren't bumping into each other. We're not starting conflicts that way. So yes, stairwell width, the open collaborative area, especially if this is a two-story building, would be another opportunity to introduce a wider, more open stair on that west side. So we'll have certainly width and visibility will be key.
Okay. And you had a initial possible breakdown of cost, and you had 15% for soft costs. What does that include?
Sure. Do you want to take a stab at this one? Sure.
Soft costs are considered the construction manager's fee, contingency, insurances, bond, general requirements, and general conditions.
Okay. And escalation.
A little bit of escalation, but we're going to manage that for you. You won't have any escalation.
Thank you. That's all.
Mr. Dodd?
I think you answered both of my questions in the course of your presentation.
Wonderful.
I just have one question. On this iteration, is this a terrace where you created like this walk or sitting area?
I'll let Brian answer that.
Huh?
That was a very early sketch, and it's really thinking about probably more than what would be included in this phase of construction. But it was observing that there's some potential erosion happening on that hillside that maybe in the long term, that hillside could be integrated into the campus with some seat walls and stepping in a way that, again, allows it to do more than it's currently doing, rather than it just being a retaining wall, something that's actually integrated and usable for the students during the day.
I thought that was clever.
But did you say that would be beyond the scope of this construction?
We just don't know yet. We're thinking about what could this campus look like, and then coming back to, okay, let's check that against costs. Let's prioritize what are your needs and wants, and maybe this is a master plan vision for the campus that we can build in phases with you.
Are there other elements in part of your presentation today that would be part of that master plan that maybe would be not part of this?
We would definitely want to look at the scope of the pavilion and covered walkway, just making sure that I think what we're showing there is a bit scaled back from that early sketch that was shown here. That came from our analysis of really the key pedestrian connections. But we're confident that what we've shown in those renderings could be included in this phase.
All right. Sorry to hijack your questions.
Yeah, now I lost my thought.
I want to reiterate kind of this is a part of our process, and of course if this is what's desired, we will do our best to work within the budget and get all the things that are really important into the budget. If it's beyond and it exceeds, then we'll work with you to prioritize and look at it as a longer term. But the goal would be if you want all of this, and there probably could be a way that we could prioritize and make things work, but it's all about that process and understanding what's really the most important to you all, and how do we get from where we are now to the final product and do it within the allocated budget.
What are you seeing on cost, and what are you seeing for the supply chain availability?
The supply chain is much, much better now, so we're not seeing those high costs of escalation. And a lot of the CMs have learned how to manage that process by buying out the materials early. So we're going to make sure that they're doing that as well. As far as the costs, they continue to go up, but not at the pace that they were last year or the year before. They're going up at the same rate of inflation, so it's no longer escalation. It's really just staying in line with inflation, no longer escalation. Site costs have continued to go up just because of the price of fuel and the volatility of the fuel pricing. Mechanical, electrical, and plumbing continue to rise, but finishes and concrete and all those other things that we'll be using on this project have pretty well flattened out.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Perfect. First, I love the covered walkway idea on the back. I think that would really fit this campus well and add a nice feature. And I know these are all just site concepts, and you guys will work through with the engagement and everything else. My question's more for really Dr. Luke and Ms. Cunningham, in addition to staff. Is all that wooded area to the south of the football field buildable? I mean, I know it drops off, but
It doesn't appear to be, but I know that they.
I'm sure with
can
enough
work
fill
some
dirt,
magic.
we could make that fillable, no pun intended. Because I still think long-term, we'd like another parking lot where that football practice field is proposed, and maybe shifting some sort of a practice field down in that wooded area would make the most sense to me.
Especially
with-
off the football field.
With the long-term vision of this school continuing to grow and all the growth around it. I agree on student drivers, but still, if we can have some more usable space in different areas, I think that would be beneficial just as we move forward. But my main question is around, when I was doing research on you guys, so you've got a huge presence out west, Texas and there, and you're building in Florida. Can you share briefly where you are in Central Florida on projects with surrounding school districts and kind of what you've got on the book so far?
Sure. So our office is in downtown Orlando, and we are currently working with OCPS and UCF, and we're on multiple IDIQs in the area for K through 12. So yes, we are growing and building, but we are a national firm. So we really bring the best, think of both the national trends and national experience with the local boots on the ground and, being right here in Orlando. So.
Thank you.
May I add to your
Please, yeah, please.
So the question about that wooded area
Yeah.
adjacent to the field. So I did a lot of research on this prior to, and the existing St. John's permit that was actually submitted and issued, right? This is part of the permit set, is that field. And is it buildable? Sure, it's buildable. It was designed. It was permitted by St. John's. So the answer to your question is it is. It's just I don't know why it was never done, why it was excluded out of the original package. Maybe cost, because it will be.
Sure.
It will have a cost to it. With the amount of regrading, because we looked at it, it's about a 30-foot grade difference from the south up.
Sure.
It doesn't appear to be wetlands. The wetlands appear to continue to be further west from this image here.
Okay.
So it's like I said, it's a huge grade change, but it's designed and permitted.
Okay.
That's
How
how it
long does
was.
the permit last from St. John's?
So typically 5 years, and
But
the
when was
issue-
that permitted?
2002.
2002. So it's
Yeah.
longer than 5 years.
Correct. Well, and the thing is the job was completed. It just wasn't done
Right.
to the actual permit documents. So typically, what's going to happen is when they completed this job, they would have submitted as-bills back to the district to close it out to say that the system was built in compliance with the actual permit. The issue with 2002 is their computer system just wasn't up to scanning, and it was a lot of waiting on engineers or architects to submit it and then scan it and then attach it to the correct file. So I didn't find any as-built that were resubmitted to close out the original permit that I normally would find, like especially today's day and age, where everything is automatically uploaded to the district. But so that's why I say we go to the program verification phase and start vetting why did this not get built, And I'm sure there's some teachers, whoever has some history of this, school board members maybe, that could help enlighten why, or maybe some of your CM team, why that didn't get done.
Sure.
Was it cost or was it construction-related issues? So,
It was both.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
okay.
mainly it was cost.
That's what I assumed.
And we're happy to explore that idea again. We can explore the idea of a deck, maybe on the existing parking. That could be more cost effective than, going into the wooded area. If we do want to explore the wooded areas, there's something we could do with and reuse the wood in the building or somewhere so that it, there's lots of things that we can look at and explore as part of the process.
Perfect. I think now's the time to do it, so I appreciate it. Any other questions? Perfect. Thank you all very much for your time. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you.
Dr. Lee, can you need a break?
Yes, please.
Please. 5 minutes, is that good?
Yes.
Perfect. 5-minute break?
So if you want to take a couple minutes to introduce the team.
Yes. Yes.
And then we'll start the clock. I'll let you know the 10-minute mark, 5-minute mark, and then the 2-minute mark. And then after that, we'll open it up for Q&A. So go ahead.
Okay. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to kind of introduce Little to you, and as well as introduce our ideas for this project. We're excited about the opportunity. I'm Sean Tracy. I'm the principal in charge of the project. Scott Fundling is our design principal. Mikhail Kuj is our project manager. Molly Polena, interestingly enough, was just named 30 under 30 by Interior Design Magazine for Central Florida as your interior designer. Robbie Moon is our civil engineer. And I think you know these two. I think you may have seen and heard from them, Chris Kramer and Leah Zeisler. Who are you again? So, but thank you. Yes.
All right, so we'll start the clock now.
Thank you. We're going to follow an agenda that is very close to this and answers the questions that were posed during after the shortlisting process. I've already done this, so I'm not going to go through it again, but these are our smiling faces. And again, our smiling faces. So that's basically the structure of the team and how we're going to pursue this project. Little's a 60-year-old firm, national. We've got 50 people in Orlando, 8 of whom are dedicated to educational design. The point of this slide is to let you know we can start immediately. We've got our studio is ready and has got more than the capability to handle this project, and we're looking forward to the opportunity to do just that. Over the course of the next slides that you're going to see, our brand promise to you, which is results beyond architecture, is going to become more clear. Basically, what we do is it's a data-based, research-based design process that is solely looking at what's unique about your project, and we go beyond the design of the building and what can really elevate the school's performance, the district's performance, and the students' performance. So, site and local conditions, Mikhail?
Next slide. Hopefully you can hear me. Yep, I'm in here. This is a slide looking south. You can see that you have the student staff parking in the foreground. You've got the front entry along East Washington, and then you've got Fenstock on the east side or the left-hand side, and you've got the building addition like in the southernmost part of the side. Part of our evaluation is to evaluate the site constraints. We'll evaluate the utility and stormwater capacity along with the environmental impacts, how best to design a cost-effective and efficient infrastructure for the building. And
yeah, we understand the parking is probably deficient especially with adding additional students, in addition to exploring maybe restriping on the north side of Washington and providing some safer pedestrian crossovers. There's the wooded area to the south of the football field. Per our initial analysis, we don't see any wetlands or ecological features there. There is some slope challenges, but something we could explore to provide some more parking, maybe access it off of Dogwood Lane, or we could possibly explore accessing that from the loop around the field as well too. So some potential there to gain more parking within property owned.
And I'd like to add that we'll be kind of evaluating and how best to accommodate the new outdoor eating area that's adjacent to your existing cafeteria. Oh, there it is. Okay. Also, part of our evaluation of the site is looking at the different options to add drop-off queuing for buses and cars, and this could be in the form of drop-off lanes. Also, the possibility of using the track for a parent drop-off and pickup. Next. Also, part of the site analysis and review is reviewing those options for students and staff to safely cross Washington Avenue. And this could be in the form of well-placed speed bumps and also flashing warning signs to better control traffic and speed along those roads. Also, what's kind of interesting is that your last project, you actually had provided for a future infrastructure for a new building adjacent to that site, which is stub outs for IT and fire alarm. Also, there's an existing electrical transformer, and also a chiller yard that can accommodate a new chiller for the new building addition.
Thank you, Mikhail. So you've heard a lot about your campus today, but we'll just touch upon it briefly. Some of the things that have struck us about it and other campuses in Eustis is then the lower two-level kind of scale and something we want to respect. You'll see some of that in some initial thoughts that Sean mentioned. The idea of creating and respecting open space. We understand an open gathering space and a eating area is important, and you'll see where we're providing that and some of the options. And then thirdly, the architectural variety. There's a lot of different buildings that need to be respected of different times, and so you'll see that with some of our site analysis in the eastern half of campus where this new addition is likely to be placed, we're taking cues from our neighbors. We've worked across the state, across the country, and understand that really before picking up a pen, we really have to work with the context in mind. So I think with that, the next. Thank you. Yeah, so these are some of the initial analyses of just looking at, we see a lot of view opportunities kind of towards the fields, but also providing a potential extended drop-off and pickup to alleviate congestion where you see that circled in red. And then obviously classroom orientation is paramount when it comes to solar exposure with kind of a north-south orientation, being able to control lighting levels to kind of optimize comfort for students and make sure that we're helping them succeed. Another thing that struck us about Eustis High School is kind of the two axes, and the site of the new addition being kind of on the eastern half, where some of the buildings are a little newer, but we have this interior network of pathways surrounding the fields, which presents a really nice opportunity to connect students across campus while creating kind of an edge on the east. We'll talk about this a little earlier, but we, again, before running options, we look at everything from microclimate to solar exposure to wind analysis to make sure that, again, the way we're forming and placing the building, the way we're creating spaces between buildings, we're not creating wind tunnels or any places that don't have uncomfortable, just completely hot areas, and we're taking advantage of passive shading. And so again, you'll start to see in some of the options, we can compare and contrast some of those data points that Sean mentioned.
Do I go back? You're good. It's no secret that the United States has been struggling with skilled labor over the course of the past decades, and having another path for success rather than just the four-year college. These types of projects, CTE projects, these are two, in fact, in South Carolina, one focused on aviation, the other one focused on automotive and construction. So these are the kinds of projects that are critical to doing, and we'll get into what the visioning process is, and having those folks at the table to understand what the needs are is something that is that's very important in understanding how this building is going to develop. So NeoCity is another project that is CTE focused, and so we've got experience in Florida as well as elsewhere with these types of projects, but we've also got to focus on what's important to the Central Florida area in general. And the Apopka Birding Park, or the Four Roots campus that's a net zero campus, or the Discovery, the Marine Discovery Center out in Melbourne, or closer to home, the community center next to the Roswell School in Okahumpka, are all projects that we feel are very important to the Central Florida area, and we don't shy away from really making that happen.
One layer of design we love to embrace is how we can tell the stories of the community, especially ones that are impactful and significant. And so we work with the school and the school district to help bring those stories to life. What you're seeing on the screen is a graphic wall for Turie T. Small Elementary School. So we're able to work with them to highlight the story of Miss Turie T. and her impact on that community, but then also help bring that into the future of the students. And so it becomes a timeline and an engaging aspect in the school itself that's also opened up to the greater community. When the school is opened up to the community, they have a Boys and Girls Club that comes in, and they're also able to experience these stories.
Great. So regarding approach and methodology, this is a Venn diagram we use to illustrate our process of, well, first thank you. Again, Sean mentioned the results beyond architecture, that listening, gathering information, understanding your goals and drivers, crafting options, identifying potential paths based on those parameters, and then ultimately achieving results that elevate you and our students. Talk about vision.
Right back up here. So before we start designing any project, we start with a visioning session. These visioning sessions are interactive. They have different exercises that allow all voices to really make a case for what they want to see and the goals that they're looking for. And with that, we are able to create a comprehensive report. It channels in all of the different notes that were taken through these exercises and filter them, memorializing what was said and brought to the table, so we can help define that vision statement with the stakeholders. We are able to not only create that vision statement, but also derive the design drivers. Our design drivers are a guiding light for the design decisions we make. Every decision we make, we filter through these design drivers. So we're making sure we're staying aligned with the original vision and goals of the project. Like Sean said, this is something that we take into consideration with the community and with a great opportunity to bring in those stakeholders for that CTE program.
Great. And so we, after those visioning sessions, we'll look, this is an example looking at different site options. And ultimately, those are refined into conceptual floor plans that, again, you can see on the right, we get stakeholder feedback from teachers or students or other community members where we review these plans that come out of those workshops.
This goes back to that CTE slide that we showed, and this just articulates the fact that we don't stop during design and construction. We want to follow up with these schools, with these projects, to understand where those projects were mostly successful and where they might need to be improved. So we look at data from the standpoint of surveys that are provided, as well as, in this case, certifications that are won as a result of this project. Scott.
Project schedule. We've taken a look at your proposed project schedule, and it's doable. We have a 9.5-month design phase starting in May of 2025 and ending in January 2026, with 3 months for permitting and bidding, with a 14-month construction schedule, which allows you to work over 2 summers ending in June of 2027. Along the way, throughout the design process, there's estimates at each design phase and also owner and construction manager input and review.
Great. Thank you, Mikhail. So we, the hues, or what we call the hues of health, energy, water, and social equity, we feel like are all big and critical design drivers in any process, but particularly for this addition. We've also practiced what we preach, and this gives an example, some initial, we'll go through some initial design ideas, but up the top row are solar analyses, taking from the east, an eastern aerial, a western aerial, and below are wind analysis. And so here you can start to see we looked at different scenarios of the addition, either attaching or being detached from the neighboring classroom building to the north. By simply doing that, we create different opportunities for shaded outdoor gathering spaces where you can start to see here in the darker colors, where because of the southern sun, we're creating areas where we're passively creating more comfortable spaces for students to gather. But in the wind analysis, where you see darker colors, there's areas of higher wind velocity. So we know that we need to use plantings and areas to produce wind speed so we don't create wind pockets. But this option creates a low wind speed zone and shaded area, and option C has a lot of benefits to it in terms of just creating simple, smart design solutions that are comfortable for students and for outdoor learning and collaboration. So I'll run through these really quick. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Of option A, so these are some blocking and stacking diagrams where you can see in the violet is the CTE double height spaces. In the blue are classrooms. The red are vertical circulation, so an elevator and stairs in remote areas. The gray are services, bathrooms, the bathrooms, electrical closet, janitor's closet, and then the yellow is a connector. So on the right is a site plan where you can start to see the internal circulation in the location of that program and its relationship. And so you can see the building maintains that eastern edge while having kind of a fold that relates to a pathway where students could take from the center of campus to the periphery. Here is a drive, and we'll go to the next slide, where vehicles and students could have a yard where they could bring equipment out and essentially use that outdoor space that folds in, and you could maybe have garage doors or doors from the CTE high bay spaces that open out to the south. But essentially that's bookended between the building and the chiller plant, which is that white box on the right-hand side before you hit the baseball field. So like I said, we want to give you an example, the process, what it's like to work with us after. This is all in a vacuum as well. The magic comes with working with you, and after, of course, having a visioning session with all stakeholders at the table. But once we have that, this is a blocking and stacking diagram. We'll do a concept sketch where we start to see and hint at how the building opens and closes, its relationship to the site. And then we'll advance it to a rendering where we start to look at architectural materiality, its character, how it relates to campus. And then I'll ultimately to give you a sense of if you can imagine being inside one of these spaces. And we, as a firm, in visioning sessions and early in concept to be highly responsive and interactive with you and specific to your project, we actually used AI to generate and help us generate some of these collages. Because we know that in the fields of aviation and advanced manufacturing, the students that are going to be in this edition are going to be using those same technologies. So we'd like to use a design process that could also be put on display for students and faculty members and runs in parallel to the mission of this edition. So option B was detached from the edition, same program. Same view here, except we put, it's a little bit more compact. The connector is pulled away, a concept sketch and rendering. You can start to see different sets of relationships. It has more separate entry. And then here, thank you. And then the final option, this option C, as I said, we saw a lot of options. There's a kind of a quieter half north of the connector where the classrooms are, and a louder half where the CTE high bay spaces are. A sketch and rendering, and again, and we're really excited of what the kind of spaces and activity and what this school can do. So, with that, this is hope those are some of the ideas. And
Yeah, you already seen this slide before with Chris's presentations again, so I won't dwell on this, belabor this. And again, we're talking about cost control and evaluating the different options as we go through the design option, which could be the most cost effective, and right sizing the HVAC, the electrical and lighting systems, and also in terms of evaluating high performance strategies in terms of getting your biggest bang for your buck. Also, part of the construction process is mock-ups and testing, along with the, next slide, along with the integrity of the building envelope. We've got examples of on-site mock-ups and also of walls and windows. And what's important here is evaluating supply chain and lead times, and also escalation, so that if there is some lead times, we can either do one of two things: early procurement, or even pivot to another option to avoid that.
Go ahead. So the last of it is just how we're going to be value engineering these things. I don't want to get cut off. So, but why this team? We've got extensive high school CTE experience. The entire team does. Our entire focus and communication will be to adhere to budget now and in the future. And I'm open to answering the rest of these questions.
You got it. I think we can make that happen. All right, thank you.
Start the clock now.
Dr. Luke?
I don't know that I have anything right this second. I may come back.
Oh,
but
good.
I think I'm okay right now.
Ms. Cunningham?
I don't have a question. I would like to share with you that I am very impressed with the way you view planning. You're looking at things like how students move on campus. That's something that you don't normally hear, but it is so very important. And things like you're going to check out the way the wind blows in a certain area. When you're a principal standing out there getting wet in the rain because the wind is blowing, you think about those things. But
Absolutely.
it's nice to hear that you have also thought about them. So I would say congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Good comments. Mr. Dodd?
Yeah, so thinking about this particular campus, and when you're adding to something that's already existing, you get this feel of maybe a juxtaposition of the 21st century learning versus, the storied history of an older campus. Which design elements do you think are most important to create that cohesive feeling, but still create the, space that today's learners enjoy?
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Dodd. So I think, I don't know if I speak for everyone, but I think sometimes we forget the buildings on campuses, but we never forget the spaces that bring them together. And I think as we stitch and have an opportunity to add this new building, we can create beautiful architecture. And I think it's paramount we create really, fantastic interior learning spaces. But I think complementing and ultimately, ideally, augmenting what's already there, those pathways and outdoor spaces that really bring the whole community of Eustis High School together is going to be important. So how we connect to those outdoor spaces and pathways, whether we attach to existing buildings or not, is going to be important. Conversely, I think strategically locating some of the high bay CTE spaces that are going to be loud near the chiller plant that is loud, and making sure that's kind of buffered and isn't disruptive to other learning environments on campus, that's going to be really critical. So I hope I answered your question.
All right, thanks.
There are also some spectacular details, whether that's the new 1930s building and the most recent buildings that we can feed from, and try to incorporate some of the thoughts in terms of that detailing. So,
How are you dealing with the additional dining, and where did you have the weight room? That was part of the requirement.
So where we locate in those diagrams where we show those CTE spaces, that is where both the dining and the weight room would be located. The dining ideally would actually be located more in the yellow, where you see that connector space. It's more public oriented, closer to entries, and centrally accessed, whether you're coming from classrooms or those CTE spaces.
Thank you.
Of course.
So why this team? If you can go over the slide for me, please, I'd love to hear it.
Okay. I already mentioned the CTE experience, but the budget adherence, our communication with you, with the district at large, with the construction manager, and with our internal team, is all focused on making sure that the budget is adhered to. The budget now, as well as the operational budget, and some of the slides that we talked about in terms of the tightness of the building, to be able to maximize minimize the energy use of this addition, so that operationally we keep those costs down. So we're looking at first cost and operational long-term costs. We know Lake County Schools. We've worked. These guys, I think, have worked for a little while. I've got probably 10 years of experience with different firms, so we've got a wealth of experience with your district, and looking forward to continuing.
Which firms were you with before?
I was with BRPH and Zaskowicz.
Okay. Perfect, thank you.
And then I had mentioned before, our designs are research-based. You had mentioned it, research-based and from thought leadership, whether that's from the energy standpoint, the operational standpoint, or the educational standpoint. And those types of things are focused on not just, hey, these look like great ideas, but they're research-focused. And we're dedicated partners. We will do whatever it takes to make sure that this project comes in on time and on budget. We've looked at the budget, and we are, looking at about a 60,000 square foot building. We're looking at it being realistic, very realistic in terms of the $35 million. I'm sure Chris has got some more insight for you, but those are the, that's why. And those are ideas, but at the top left corner, we listen, and we want to hear what you have to say.
Perfect. Thank you. My last question for you, I understand that you guys are a national firm, 50 people in Orlando. How long have you all been in Orlando? How long have you had a presence in Orlando?
Since 1999.
Okay. And 8 focused on education. You mentioned Neo City, so you're doing some work with Osceola.
Yes.
Have you done any other work recently with other surrounding school districts?
Yes, as a matter of fact, the project that Molly just had mentioned, Turie T. Small Elementary School, is a net zero ready elementary school that we did for Volusia County Schools.
Okay.
We are currently working with Orange County for several middle school addition projects on campuses not unlike this, where there are very, compressed areas where they're being constructed. So, and then some interiors projects as well. Did I miss anything? And we're doing Miami-Dade's first net zero prototype elementary school.
On those middle school projects, have any of those been awarded yet or still in the same phase as we are here?
No, they have been. They are in construction right now.
Perfect. Okay. Dr. Luke, any questions?
I'm good.
All right. Thank you all very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Well, this concludes the presentations. Now, spend some time, you can either discuss, you want to voice your opinions, or just finish your evaluations, and then I'll tell you the scores.
Any comments from anybody?
Let's bring.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can stay.
I'm going to guess we want to hear from
Yeah, we'll see you again, I'm sure.
Yeah. I think one way or another, you're going to have a good answer. Thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Right?
I'm going to guess we want to hear from the principal, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
I think they're bringing everybody in.
Oh, everybody's coming in.
Yeah.
You want anybody up?
Yeah, Mr. Clark, if you can go ahead and come up, I think we've got some questions for you.
So I would like to comment about the coffee. So some years ago, I was in Turkmenistan. In Turkmenistan, they serve you coffee, and then this fortune teller took my cup, and she read me my fortune based on how the grounds had dissolved.
Uh-huh.
So
what did the grounds tell you?
As I'm looking here, they're serious grounds.
Tell you which firm to go with?
The very end is almost chewable. But it did show me some signs, though.
Do we get a rank order out of that?
Yes, you did.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Clark, do you have any thoughts for us? I mean, you've been more involved in this than we have to this point. Just want your opinion as the leader of the school.
So, obviously, there are many parts to this equation and making sure that things are met. And I understand that priorities are going to have to take place. As I stated, safety has got to be, a number one priority when it comes to our parent pickup and drop off and the solutions in that area. But we also, because of we're landlocked, open to those concepts and ideas of what are we going to do with space that is potentially usable. So, it's a concern to me that the land adjacent to the football field was not utilized, and I know that, if that were done, I believe that would make a significant impact moving forward. So I heard a lot of great ideas presented, and it's pretty exciting to, the potential. But I realize that we are going to have to prioritize, and some things may not, the wish list may get cut.
So you're the sixth vote. Who would you select?
I'm sorry?
If you were voting, which one?
So I have to rely on your expertise on that. So I did have an opportunity to, sit through and hear the four groups present, and impressive in their own right. So I did see some takeaways that were, very impressive by some. It's great to see the experience level and the affiliation of those who have had, worked with Lake County schools and, particularly at Eustis High School. But, with that said, all of them are, highly qualified.
Good answer. Don't take that bait. Good answer.
Okay.
Mr. Dodd, any comments? Ms. Cunningham?
No.
Dr. Luke?
No, I'm laughing about the conversation with parking, just so you guys know, and it'd probably be beneficial for all of you as well. It's not student spaces. I think you guys covered that really well.
Yeah.
But as a person that attends multiple sporting events at the school, we do use the student parking lot, but it's all the way on the other side of campus. So essentially you're walking a block, and all the athletes that use the weight room, they all try to cram up there in the bus loop. So like even thinking about the position of where you're putting the weight room and some of those things on that other side and having additional parking over there, I think that's what in my mind, the pickup of athletes, ninth graders particularly, that don't drive, and the parents that stack on the road, like those are some things that I think are really important for you to see. But I also think they're things that are going to come from the visioning, which I'm really excited about. I would agree that I think these presentations always bother me to some degree, because all of you are trying to put your best foot forward and show ideas, but then you're also trying to be very respectful of, we have to work with the school and the community. And so we appreciate that, and it does make it challenging because it's neat to see the ideas, but you also have to be a part of that process, and we appreciate the respect that each of you showed for our involvement in that process, because it is personal, right?
Very much.
When we have kids there.
If I could make a comment.
Please.
Just as an add-on to what she's saying, she's talking about the things that she's experiencing right now as a parent. I can tell you I have a daughter who's a graduate of Eustis High, and it was over 20 years ago. And I experienced those same things with trying to pick her up. So it's nice to finally see that there are people who recognize and are able to see and envision that these things need to be changed. So again, I would say kudos to all three firms, and I think we're looking forward to working with the one that's chosen. But I agree with Mr. Clark. Everyone is very qualified, and we would, I think, be very fortunate and have a good experience with either one. So thank you for your interest in Lake County.
Yeah, I'd echo all those comments. I think there were parts of all three that I really, really enjoyed. I certainly agree that I think parking on that old softball field as a multi-use space would be very beneficial, and utilizing that wooded area for practice fields or other things would be great as well. We are landlocked, and try to maximize that site as best we can. I understand that was part of the project 20 some odd years ago and didn't get done, so let's try to get it done now so we don't wait another 20 some odd years to do it then. But just briefly going through it, Ziskovich, the experience is off the charts. Thank you guys for coming back. I always appreciate the models that you bring and how much thought you put into it on the front end, so thank you. Corrigan really loved the back half of that campus with that covered walkway that kind of spanned the whole eating area and connected those buildings. And on Little, as Ms. Cunningham said, on the student walking areas, the wind, the solar, putting the CTE next to the chiller, I think those are all brilliant ideas. So I think whoever we decide, there's ideas from each that I hope you guys will R&D, rob and duplicate from the presentations that I sure will be public, and can help us get to that final phase of what's the best site for Eustis High. If there's no other comments.
There is.
Go ahead.
Since you-
Go ahead. What does the coffee bean say?
Since you just could not wait. I do want to point out, and all three presentations outstanding.
Yep.
Thank you very much for coming to Lake County. But Sokovich, they actually were were credited in the second presentation with having the insight to put in the infrastructure and looking at, it was permitted back in their day, of looking at infills and things that we were all discussing. So I think with that said, it gave them the edge for me. So that's that.
Any other comments? All right, well, I think we can tally these up now, and Ollie, if you want to do some quick math, we can get an answer here in a couple of minutes, I would think. Look at that.
Wow.
Already
I hate the pressure of you guys when I sit down here and.
We aim to please.
Thank you.
Should we do like board member comments or something while we're waiting, or?
Yep.
You want to juggle? What do you got? Yeah.
You doing a
Dr. Luke, you got any comments?
I did want to say I spent some time with Mrs. Bailey at Umatilla Middle School. I know we had some leadership changes that happened right before Christmas and this time frame, and her vision for the school is wonderful. I think she has a good grasp on things. Having a personal student there as well, like a lot of these things impact me in different ways, professionally and personally. And I enjoyed my morning with her. And I feel like I'm forgetting something. District weightlifting championships are happening this week across the county for girls. So if you want to see a really impressive show of strength and power, I would love to see you guys Wednesday at Leesburg, and hopefully it'll be warmer.
Working on that.
It is not going to be warm.
I don't have anything.
Mr. Dodd? Mr. Mathias, any other comments for us? I don't have any either. I would just echo, you got a wonderful leader in Miss Bailey. Treat her well. We'll treat Miss Pyatt well. She's killing it at Leesburg High School as well. And congratulations to the superintendent on 8 years with us on Friday. So I always like to highlight that every year.
8 years.
Still the best decision you three ever made, so thank you very much.
Yeah, that's not bad. Yeah.
I pulled this up. I figured it out while we were waiting. I feel like I have it on here.
Not what I expected, I don't think. That's like an updated version, huh?
Listen, it was uncomfortable silence for about 5 seconds, right? I figured we would just give you something to do.
See, he was listening, not counting.
Yeah, that's right. You distracted him.
Because it's not a lot of math.
It's not a lot of math.
1, 2, 3.
Wow. All right.
We've really gotten this thing down to it.
Well, Ziskovich is the lowest score, so it's Ziskovich is the selected vendor. 8, and then the other two tied at 11.
Speaks to y'all's talent. Appreciate it. Okay.
Thank
Get
you.
out of here.
Thank you, everybody.
Superintendent, any comments?
I'm good, thank you.
All right, no attorney comments. We are adjourned.